Welcome to the Talk Like a Leader podcast, where we explore the mindset, skill set, and habit set of leadership communication. Using these tips, techniques, and tactics, you'll be able to talk like a leader to build better relationships and get more done. Your host is Guy Harris, who has more than 20 years of combined professional and military experience in consulting, coaching, and training in areas like team and interaction dynamics, communication strategies and tactics, as well as emotional intelligence. Take it away, Guy.
Hi, this is Guy Harris. Welcome to Talk Like a Leader. Once again this week, I'm continuing my conversation with Carl Smith about the coaching mindset. We turn our attention this week to the person with inspiring traits, again on the DISC model. One of the things we're talking about in this series of episodes is the coaching mindset and what it is we can do to get out of our own way to be more successful as a coach. And to get the conversation started, I'm going to throw it to Carl. Carl has a lot of inspiring traits. So I'm going to say, as a person who has inspiring traits, when you are needing to coach another person, what are some of the things that you have to get? What are some of the things you have to do for your thinking and your mindset to help you get out of your own way to be a more effective coach?
That's a great question, Guy. One, I love coaching. And so because I'm so passionate about it, many times I get caught up in just talking and working on the relationship versus really helping that person come up with solutions or come up with change for them. The other piece is I can get very excited and probably a little too much energy that it's like, wow, okay, whoa. Slow it down, man. Slow it down. Slow your roll.
So is it the issue is that you enjoy the conversation so much that you can forget about the coaching piece? Did I hear that right?
Definitely. And sometimes it's just not as productive as it needs to be. So I have to coach myself to make sure that I'm on task, that I'm truly adding value and focusing on things that the person that I'm coaching really wants to address and work on.
So if you find yourself in a situation where you have to address a potentially difficult issue, does that change or is it still the same problem for you?
It actually, it's an area that I have to focus on. It's an area that I have to, I'll tell you the biggest challenge for me in coaching is giving tough information or tough feedback, and not sugarcoating it.
Okay.
Making sure that it's done in a kind and sincere way, but that it really does address the issue. Because I want them to like me, and I want things to be positive and optimistic, and I have to also just make sure that I'm realistic what I'm sharing.
Okay, so I think one of the things to make sure we're clear on here, and this is more so like we're reminding people what we're talking about, coaching versus discipline.
Right.
And even when we talk about a difficult issue to talk about, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a disciplinary thing.
Right.
It could just be uncomfortable to talk about. Even recognizing that when we engage with someone and ask them to improve, even though we're not saying they did something wrong, they might hear that that's what we mean.
Correct.
And so that potential misinterpretation or the potential perspective they might, I think the phrase you used, they won't like me, can get in your way to have those kinds of conversations that help people realize there's an opportunity for growth. There's something that could be better.
Right.
And so the mental hurdle you have to overcome is that they might be offended by difficult news or something like that. Is that right?
Definitely.
And so the challenges you have to overcome are, I guess, it always comes down to like an excess. So we want to have a relationship or we're not going to be able to coach successfully. And at the same time, what I hear you saying, Carl, is that your desire for the relationship can sometimes get in the way of the coaching.
Yes. It can. Yeah, it can.
Well, see, I have the other challenge is sometimes I can be so quick to notice what's wrong that it sounds like I'm critical. And because I got so much C trait, this working with a person as inspiring trait is the direct opposite for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge I have, it can be, not always, but it can be sounding critical when in fact my heart is to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
When sound harsh when I'm trying to do what you said, just be honest with people and let them know, hey, here's the thing we need to work on. Here's what needs to get better. And the way I can say it can be so monotone and factual that
Yes.
it just sounds like I don't care. So the thing I've learned is I have to be very careful in terms of recognizing what is necessary for a person with inspiring traits to be engaged in the conversation, to be invited into the conversation. I realize that I have to present myself in a way that they know that I like them.
Yeah.
And that I think highly of them. Even though there's maybe a difficult thing to talk about, it doesn't mean our relationship is in jeopardy. And so the thing that I have to work on is making sure I really emphasize, hey, our relationship is okay. We're fine. I like you. I'm not upset with you. And I actually have to verbalize that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that everything I say here is clear, that I'm not angry or upset at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are some things we need to talk about that could help our relationship be better. And I guess I didn't realize it till I just said it. One of the ways I get to improving or helping the person improve their behaviors is help them see it through the filter of how it helps our relationship as opposed to how it helps results.
That's good. Yep.
And it's, trying to see it through their eyes as much as possible.
Yes.
And the difficult thing for me is that I often don't instinctively think about the relationship. I think about, here's what needs to happen. You need to get on with it. Questions. Probably not helpful if I do that. Is that fair, Carl?
Right.
Might sound just a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
So adjusting and trying to be friendly, and from a C perspective, at least, and probably from a D perspective too, is to remember to smile, even if you're doing this on the phone, because people can tell.
Yes.
So the thing I have to do to get out of my own way is to focus on the relationship and connect and be friendly and pick up the pace of my voice and verbalize the health of our relationship and things like that, so that I don't inadvertently damage the relationship.
Yes.
So what is that, as I'm saying that, does that trigger any thoughts for you, Carl, or any
Yeah. And I know we need to wrap this up, but I'm thinking from someone that has a lot of inspirational tendencies as a coach, just as a reminder, you have to just be careful of your energy. Be
careful of energy.
Careful not to be too excited, too emotional, mention things or do things too quickly. That's one I didn't mention earlier, but these are just things. How can I better relate or connect to the people, to the person that I'm coaching and serving?
And in this case, you're speaking from the perspective of a person who has inspiring traits, coaching someone who maybe doesn't.
Right.
Is the whole be careful of your energy, beware of the tendency to exaggerate or move too quickly, expect buy-in too quickly, that kind of thing. It's like be sensitive to pace and energy so that you don't overwhelm the person you're coaching.
Yep.
So what Carl and I have just discussed is both sides of the coaching relationship when we're dealing with a person who has inspiring traits. So Carl is sharing perspective on what does it mean to be a person with inspiring traits who's attempting to offer coaching to another person. Probably what we're talking about is a person who doesn't have inspiring traits. And I was sharing perspective on a person who doesn't have inspiring traits. How can you better adjust to connect with a person who does?
Yes.
And so we've tried to touch on both sides of the coaching relationship for people who have inspiring traits, and to think about the mindset necessary to pull it off successfully so we can invite people into the conversation and hopefully affect change and grow and get better together. If you learn how to do that, you can talk like a leader. This has been the Talk Like a Leader podcast.
You can listen to this show every week wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Guy Harris, and thanks for listening.